Unfortunately, John Frusciante's new pedalboard for the Unlimited Love Tour has been giving him a lot of issues, and I'm not just talking about the WH10 being a pain in the butt to turn on and off. Now, during the Unlimited Love Tour, we have seen a few different instances of John having pedalboard issues where the pedalboard seems to completely go down. This example that I'm going to show you guys happens during Charlie, and it's really crazy to hear the chorus for Charlie played without any pedals. You're hearing just the amps and how clean those amps are. They're very loud, of course, at a stadium volume, but they're still so clean. No distortion on for the main chorus of Charlie at all. The pedalboard's just completely dead in the water. According to people who were at this show, John initially thought there was something wrong with his guitar, and he swapped guitars mid-song. So he initially thought that maybe there was something going on with one of his guitars, one of his strats, and just swapped, and then realized that he had a much bigger issue in it being the pedalboard itself that just was not functioning.
Are you back or you're not back? You're not back. The guitar stopped working, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. We're going to get it working again. Little amps, pedals, wires, and whatnot.
And this isn't the first time that show even that it happened. It also happened to him after Don't Forget Me, where the pedalboard just went completely down and he had no sound essentially at all, or was only just bypassing the board and having a clean amp sound.
John Frusciante is handling this way better than I would. He's a smart man. Sometimes, when my shit breaks,
You have got to love Chad and Flea, the chemistry that those two have. They just were jamming away while John and his tech were trying to get the board up and running, essentially while they had a pause during the show. It could be a hell of a lot worse than having Chad and Flea just to jam away and kind of entertain you. And kudos to John as well. This had to be super frustrating for him to deal with, and even Flea says he would be nowhere near as calm and chill as John was if that was happening to him. Talking about John's pedalboard reliability, though, brings me back to when we first saw his Unlimited Love World Tour pedalboard, and two things went through my mind. Number one was that he was using a lot more modern pedals on the pedalboard instead of a lot of older vintage pedals. You're going to have more reliability with the pedals that you're using, but he also was keeping everything, as far as we can tell, just wired in series like a traditional pedalboard. No loopers at all, nothing that would kind of save you if your board did actually go down. And if you guys remember, during Josh Klinghoffer's rig rundown, they actually had a loop system set up with this pedal board where his tech could run out, switch one of the loops off, and then that loop for that specific pedal would be bypassed, and then he could troubleshoot the pedal board that way super quickly, figure out whether it was a bad power cable, a bad patch cable to a certain loop, take that loop out, repair everything or replace something while the rest of the board could still function. Without a system like that in place, if you have a massive pedal board like John Frusciante and something goes wrong, like one patch cable fails on you, well then it's going to be impossible to sort through the entire board and figure it out in a timely manner during the middle of a concert. It's just going to be an impossible task.
You got to mention the bright onion pedals, just because of the way that's set up and how it kind of harnesses and controls.
Harnesses the danger. As I say, when I came to the gig, Josh had been piling effects onto a board, through rehearsals, trying things out. And the problem was that the signal came in one end, went out the other, went through every pedal in turn. So obviously, if there was to be a failure of some kind, that would be pretty disastrous trying to troubleshoot a board or several boards this big in front of a screaming crowd. You do tend to break a bit of a sweat at that point. So I went to, as I say, the whole bypass strip thing was out of the question. So I went to this chap, James Murphy, who runs Bright Onion Pedals in Brighton, south of London, and with a few ideas of mine and a few of his, and we mulled over it for a while, and he custom built me these. So basically it's a true bypass switcher. Every pedal's on a loop as it would be. Okay. The pedals are all on, and as you can see here, if I have a problem, if I have a completely lost a signal, I can just bypass one whole board at once. And if the signal comes back, I can say, well, okay, it's the fault's on this board, and then I could just go through each pedal in turn. The lights only come on when the pedal was off, because I didn't want to add extra lights to the whole thing. I thought, let's just have pedals, lights off when pedals are on, and then I know that that's the pedal that's off. So then if I find the problem, like this one was causing a problem last show, I could just flick him off, and then he can carry on. I can take the pedal away, fix it, and come back, and it doesn't stop him from playing. He can just keep going.
A lot of guesswork.
Well, yeah. I mean, believe me, I woke up very early, many months of mornings before I actually started the show, trying to mull all this out in my mind. For a long time, I was convinced that I would be able to bring in this whole kind of very forward-thinking, switcher thing, and at the end, I just had to say, it's not what he wants, it's not what he does. He would be really alienated by that, and he would have to relearn the way he'd rehearsed all these songs in months of rehearsal. And I thought, well, there's no point in making my guitarist backtrack for the sake of making my own life easy. I've got to do it the way he wants to do it. So,
as far as another solution that John Frusciante could possibly look into, one thing that does come to mind is a B rig. Now, when I say a B rig, obviously the big massive pedal board would be his A rig, but a B rig could be something just like his promotional pedal board. You have on a couple distortion pedals like the SD1, the DS2, a Variac fuzz or a Fuzzrite, WH10, maybe a reverb pedal, CE1, just a few different pedals that could get him through majority of the songs on the set list while they sort out the rest of the pedal board. His tech is simply run this pedal board out to the stage, input both the input and output jacks from the other board ready to go for his guitar and to the amps, and then boom. He's back up and running, then he can go and work on the other pedal board while John can still play majority of the songs. They could swap out different songs in the set list. For example, if Throw Away Your Television was supposed to come up next, maybe don't play that song, but he could do something like, I don't know, Can't Stop, even though they normally play that at the very start of the show. But you guys get what I'm saying. Something like Charlie, they could throw in instead of a song that would require a lot more effects to perform properly, then add that song back in once the other pedal board was up and running. Just another solution for John and his tech that I just think of that comes to mind. Because in all honesty, for this to happen to John multiple times is, I don't know, it's obviously not an ideal scenario. Even the person who shot this footage, in the caption they write, well, of course, when I go to the concert, John's having pedal board issues. It's not ideal for the fans, it's not ideal for the band, so I feel like they are almost going to need to go back to the drawing board with this pedal board, figure out a new way to troubleshoot the pedal board if they're having issues, either do a rehaul of the power supply, the power cables, all the patch cables that they're using, something, because something clearly isn't working if there's been a few times where his pedal board's been going completely down during this tour. Something obviously isn't quite working right. But honestly, I think the best solution for John's pedal board is just to get a looper system like they had with that Bright Onion Pedals custom looper with Josh Klinghoffer in the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That system was perfect. You can turn loops on and off independently, or you can bypass the entire pedal board if you need to with just the flick of one switch. I know that's not necessarily how John Frusciante normally runs things. It's like a traditional, very old school style pedal board, but this is just a better solution, honestly, and you're going to have no loss of signal if you're just running it through a looper. Something like that isn't going to affect your tone at all, and just makes for way less of a headache in the cases like this, where something happens and the entire board goes down because of one patch cable, for example. But there you guys go. I just thought this was really cool to get some footage of this happening, and I just wanted to highlight and discuss this for you guys. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below as to what you think might have happened, if you know more about the situation than maybe I do. But again, I just thought this was cool and I wanted to highlight and discuss it for you guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next one.